After 5 years of 60-hour work weeks and living in a tiny apartment to save every possible dollar, I finally bought my dream truck, a brand new Ford F-150 Lariat in antimatter blue. I had it for exactly 23 days before my brother Alex destroyed it. I finished my night shift at the construction site and walked to the employee parking lot to find my truck gone. When I called my parents in a panic, my father actually chuckled and said, "Oh, Alex mentioned he might borrow it." 3 hours later, I found my beautiful truck smashed into a ditch reeking of alcohol with my brother nowhere to be found. When I finally confronted him, my parents stood beside him, claiming I was overreacting and should handle it privately to protect Alex. That night, I made the hardest decision of my life to call the police on my own brother. Before I tell you what happened next and how it completely transformed our family, let me know where you are watching from, and hit that subscribe button if you have ever had to make an impossible choice between enabling someone you love, standing up for what is right. I grew up in a blue-collar neighborhood of Minneapolis where most families, including mine, lived paycheck to paycheck. My father worked as a machine operator at a local factory, while my mother managed a small dress shop. From an early age, the contrast between how they treated me and my younger brother Alex was apparent to everyone except them. While I was expected to maintain perfect grades, work part-time jobs from age 16, and contribute to household expenses, Alex received endless second chances, despite consistent behavioral problems. When I needed new basketball shoes for the team, I saved my own money. When Alex wanted the latest gaming console, my parents dipped into their limited savings without hesitation. This pattern continued into our adult years. I put myself through community college, with minimal family support, working construction during the day and taking classes at night. Meanwhile, my parents paid for Alex's repeated attempts at various universities, each ending with dropped classes or academic probation. They covered his rent when he refused to work, paid off his credit card debt twice, and made excuses to relatives about his sensitive artistic nature being incompatible with traditional employment. By 28, I had worked my way up from general laborer to project supervisor at Midwest Construction Partners, one of the largest firms in the region. The promotion came with a significant pay increase that finally put my dream vehicle within reach. For as long as I could remember, I had wanted a Ford F-150, the truck that symbolized American reliability and workmanship to me. After researching options carefully, I secured financing for a new Lariat model with the premium interior package navigational system and towing capabilities I needed for occasional work use. The day I drove it off the lot was perhaps the proudest moment of my life. No one had handed me this achievement. It represented years of disciplined saving and professional advancement. I took meticulous care of the truck, keeping it spotless, despite working on dusty construction sites and parking it carefully to avoid door dings and weather damage. During this same period, Alex, then 26, had been fired from his latest job as a bartender after repeatedly showing up late. He moved back into our parents' house, ostensibly to regroup and plan his next career move, though his days seemed to consist primarily of sleeping until noon and playing video games. His nights were spent with a group of friends known for their heavy drinking and recreational drug use. I had maintained a cordial but distant relationship with my family during this time. Sunday dinners at my parents' house were an obligation I fulfilled out of respect rather than enjoyment. During these gatherings, Alex often made snide comments about my boring career choice and conformist lifestyle, while my parents beamed with pride when he mentioned vague plans to get into music production or maybe try day trading. The tension between us escalated noticeably after I purchased my truck. Alex's barely concealed jealousy manifested in pointed questions about wasting money on material possessions and comments about how the vehicle was compensating for something. My parents, rather than addressing his obvious resentment, seemed to share his perspective that my purchase was somehow excessive or showy rather than a hard-earned reward for years of diligent work. 2 weeks before the incident, Alex had asked to borrow my truck to move some music equipment. I declined politely but firmly, explaining that I was not comfortable lending out a vehicle I was still making payments on and that my insurance might not cover other drivers. This reasonable boundary was met with a family argument in which my parents accused me of being selfish and not supporting your brother's creative pursuits. My mother's parting comment that evening: "You have always been the responsible one, Damon. Why start being difficult now?" revealed volumes about their fundamental expectations. In their eyes, my responsibility extended to compensating for Alex's irresponsibility, an unbalanced family system I had participated in for too long. The night of the theft, I was working a rare overnight shift supervising concrete pouring that needed to be completed during cooler hours. I had parked my truck in the employee lot behind a security gate with my spare key safely stored in a locked desk drawer at my apartment. At least that had been my understanding until everything unraveled. After discovering my truck missing at 5:30 a.m., my first call was to the police to report it stolen. The dispatcher took my information efficiently, promising to enter the vehicle details into their system immediately. My second call to my parents produced the response that would forever change our relationship. "Oh, Alex mentioned he might borrow it," my father said with the casual tone one might use to discuss borrowing a lawn tool. "Did you not know?" "No, I did not know," I replied, struggling to process this information. How would he even have access to my truck? The keys are in my apartment. A telling pause followed before my mother took over the call. "Well, you know Alex has been helping us with some house projects. He probably noticed your spare key when he was getting tools from your place last weekend." This explanation made no sense. I had not given Alex access to my apartment, nor had I been aware of any house projects requiring my tools. As the implications sank and my confusion transformed into cold anger. "Are you saying Alex took my spare key without permission, then stole my truck while I was working? And you knew about this? Do not be so dramatic." Damon, my father, interjected, having apparently reclaimed the phone. "Borrowing between brothers is hardly stealing. I am sure he will bring it back soon." I ended the call and immediately checked my home security app, which showed no activity at my apartment door during the night. However, the location tracking feature on my key fob indicated the spare key was currently at my parents' house, confirmation that someone had taken it from my desk drawer on a previous occasion. After arranging for a coworker to drive me to my parents' home, I arrived to find my mother unusually flustered and my father defensive. The spare key was nowhere to be found, and their story changed from Alex borrowing the truck to having no idea where he might have gone with it. "You need to call Alex right now." I insisted, my patience evaporating. "Or give me his location." "He is with friends," my mother replied vaguely. "I am sure everything is fine. You are overreacting as usual." Realizing I would get nowhere with them, I began calling Alex's known friends. The third call provided the information I needed. Alex had been seen driving my truck to a party at Lakeside Quarry, a popular but illegal gathering spot about 20 miles outside the city. The Uber ride to the quarry was tense with anticipation and dread. As we approached, the driver slowed, pointing toward the side of the road where a small crowd had gathered around what was clearly a vehicle accident. My heart sank as I recognized the distinctive blue of my truck, now crumpled against a tree, after apparently veering off the road and through a ditch. The scene was chaotic. Empty beer cans scattered around the truck's driver's side, heavily damaged airbags deployed, and a spider web of cracks across the windshield. The front axle was visibly broken, and fluid leaked steadily onto the ground beneath. Most concerning was the heavy alcohol smell emanating from the interior and the blood smeared on the deployed airbag. Alex was not among the onlookers who identified themselves as having arrived after the crash. According to their account, the driver matching Alex's description had been picked up by friends shortly after the accident, appearing intoxicated and injured, but mobile. My next call was to the local hospital, which confirmed Alex had been admitted with minor injuries, including a broken nose and laceration requiring stitches. His blood alcohol level had been recorded as part of standard protocol more than twice the legal limit at 9:00 a.m. By the time I arrived at my parents' house, where Alex had apparently been discharged, the family narrative had already solidified. My mother met me at the door with accusations rather than apologies. "How could you not answer your phone? We have been trying to reach you for hours. Alex is injured, and the truck can be fixed. There is no need to make this worse by involving insurance or police." Inside, I found Alex sprawled on the couch, his face bandaged but his attitude entirely unrepentant. "Dude, that truck handles like a beast," he commented when he saw me. "Too bad about the accident, But your insurance will cover it, right? No big deal. No big deal, I repeated, incredulous. You stole my truck, drove it, drunk, totaled it, and then fled the scene of an accident. Those are multiple felonies. My father stepped between us, his expression stern. That is enough, Damon. Alex made a mistake, but he is injured and needs support right now. The truck is just a material possession. Family is what matters. This is not about the truck, I clarified, though the loss of my prized possession was certainly devastating. This is about Alex committing serious crimes, and you both enabling behavior that could have killed him or someone else. What followed was a familiar family dynamic, escalated to unprecedented levels. My mother crying about how I had always been too hard on Alex, my father invoking family loyalty as the highest value, and Alex alternating between smug confidence in his immunity and self-pitying references to his injuries. When I mentioned my obligation to report the incident to insurance and police, the emotional manipulation intensified. My mother suggested I would be responsible if Alex went to jail and his life was ruined. My father implied that continuing to pursue this would mean choosing a vehicle over my place in the family. Be reasonable, he insisted. We can work something out privately. Alex can get a job and pay you back over time. Given Alex's employment history and my parents' pattern of shielding him from consequences, this proposal was laughably inadequate. More importantly, it represented a fundamental misunderstanding of the situation's severity. This was not a minor indiscretion, but a series of deliberate criminal acts that had endangered lives and destroyed property. I am filing a police report, I stated finally. What happens after that will depend on Alex's willingness to take responsibility for his actions. My mother's tearful plea as I left. If you do this, you will break this family apart. Forever followed me to my car. What she failed to understand was that the family had been broken long before this incident, constructed on a foundation of unequal expectations and enabled dysfunction that could no longer sustain itself. The legal process that followed revealed layers of family secrets and protection that extended far beyond my knowledge. When I filed the police report providing the hospital records, witness statements, and timeline of events, the responding officer's computer search revealed something shocking. Alex had 2 previous DUI arrests that had never resulted in convictions. Further investigation showed that my parents had hired expensive attorneys to have the charges reduced or dismissed, paid for multiple rounds of court-mandated rehabilitation that Alex never completed, and systematically shielded him from any lasting consequences. This pattern of intervention had created the perfect environment for escalating behavior, culminating in the theft and destruction of my truck. The officer assigned to the case, Detective Mercer, had seen similar family dynamics throughout her career. Unfortunately, this protection often continues until something catastrophic happens, she explained as we reviewed the case details. You are actually doing your brother a favor by ensuring consequences now before someone gets killed. This perspective provided little comfort as I navigated the increasingly hostile family landscape. My parents' initial shock at my follow-through transformed into coordinated pressure from extended family members. Aunts, uncles, and cousins called with messages clearly scripted by my mother, variations on themes of family loyalty, Christian forgiveness, and the temporary nature of material possessions compared to lifelong relationships. My Uncle Robert, my father's younger brother, provided the only dissenting family voice. They did the same thing when we were kids, he confided during a supportive call. Dad always cleaned up after him and Mom always made excuses. I am not surprised it has come to this. Meanwhile, the insurance investigation complicated matters further. Because the truck had been taken by a family member with access to keys, their initial determination classified it as unauthorized use rather than theft, creating potential issues with coverage. This determination changed only after the police charges formalized the theft aspect of the case. The pressure intensified when Alex was formally charged with grand theft auto, driving under the influence, leaving the scene of an accident and property damage. My parents focused their resources entirely on his defense, hiring an attorney whose retainer cost more than they had ever contributed to my education or career development. Their strategy shifted from pressuring me to drop charges, which was not actually within my power, once the district attorney took the case to minimizing the consequences Alex would face. This included asking me to write a letter to the judge, requesting leniency to testify as a character witness, and to state that I had sometimes allowed Alex to use my vehicle, all requests I firmly declined. The family fracture widened into an unbridgeable chasm when, during a particularly heated phone call, my mother declared, "If you will not help your brother now, you are not the son we raised. You are choosing your pride over family. I am choosing accountability over enabling." I corrected her. "Something you and Dad have never been willing to do for Alex." The case never went to trial. Faced with overwhelming evidence and a prosecutor unwilling to offer the sweetheart deals his previous attorneys had secured, Alex accepted a plea agreement. The terms included 6 months in county jail, 5 years probation, mandatory substance abuse treatment, restitution payments, and a suspended license for 3 years. My parents attended the sentencing hearing, wearing matching blue ribbons that my mother had apparently organized as some sort of solidarity symbol. They sat on the opposite side of the courtroom, from me making their allegiance clear to everyone present. When Alex was led away to begin serving his sentence, my mother's accusatory glare in my direction communicated everything about how she assigned blame in this situation. My truck, assessed by the insurance adjuster as a total loss due to frame damage and deployed airbags, was eventually settled for close to its value minus my deductible. The check represented both the end of a dream prematurely destroyed and the beginning of a new chapter unburdened by toxic family expectations. 6 months have passed since Alex began serving his sentence. The insurance settlement allowed me to purchase another truck. Not the same model, but a reliable used F-150 that serves my needs without carrying the emotional baggage of its predecessor. I moved to an apartment in a different neighborhood, changing my locks and installing a more comprehensive security system. The distance from my family has been both painful and liberating. My parents maintain minimal contact, our interactions reduced to brief surface-level text messages around holidays and birthdays. They visit Alex regularly in jail, but have not once asked to meet with me for any attempt at reconciliation or understanding. Unexpectedly, this family rupture has allowed other healthier connections to flourish. My Uncle Robert and I speak weekly, sharing a bond strengthened by our similar experiences with family dynamics. Several cousins who had witnessed the pattern of favoritism throughout our childhood have reached out with support and their own stories of establishing boundaries with toxic relatives. My coworkers at the construction company, aware of the situation through the inevitable small-town grapevine, have demonstrated the kind of loyalty and respect that family should ideally provide. From offering rides during the weeks I was without transportation to creating space for occasional venting sessions over after-work beers, they have embodied the chosen family that many of us ultimately need to build. 3 weeks ago, I received a letter from Alex, the first direct communication since his sentencing. The contents surprised me with their apparent self-reflection, acknowledging the pattern of behavior that led to the incident and expressing what seemed like genuine remorse. While I remain cautiously optimistic about this potential growth, years of manipulative family dynamics have taught me to wait for consistent behavior change rather than accepting words alone. Perhaps the most significant development has been my own internal shift. Weekly sessions with a therapist specializing in family systems have helped me recognize the role I played in maintaining unhealthy patterns by always being the responsible one who could be counted on to sacrifice his needs for family harmony. Learning to set and maintain boundaries has been challenging but essential work. When Alex is released next month, we have agreed to meet on neutral ground with clear parameters about my expectations for any ongoing relationship. These include his continued participation in substance abuse treatment, demonstration of financial responsibility, and respect for my personal boundaries, including never asking to borrow vehicles or money. My parents' response to this planned meeting has been telling. Rather than encouraging this potential bridge to reconciliation, they have suggested I am being unnecessarily strict and should just move forward without dwelling on the past. This reaction confirms that while Alex might be developing new insights during his incarceration, the family system that contributed to his behavior remains resistant to change. The truck that was supposed to represent my hard-earned success became instead the catalyst for necessary family restructuring. While I would never have chosen this painful path, I recognize now that something dramatic was needed to break patterns established over decades. Yesterday, I received an unexpected message from one of Alex's former friends apologizing for his role in the incident and sharing that several members of their social circle have sought treatment for substance issues after witnessing the consequences of that night. This ripple effect of accountability suggests that standing firm against enabling behavior can sometimes benefit more people than just those directly involved. As for my relationship with vehicles, I have developed a healthier perspective. My current truck is well maintained and properly insured, but I no longer attach my sense of accomplishment or identity to material possessions. The true measure of success has become my ability to establish appropriate boundaries, recognize unhealthy dynamics, and prioritize genuine connections over obligatory ones. Have you ever had to make the difficult choice to hold a family member accountable for their actions, even when other relatives pressured you to look the other way? What was the hardest part of standing your ground, and how did it change your family relationships? Share your experiences in the comments below. Your story might give someone else the courage to break unhealthy family patterns. If this account of establishing necessary boundaries resonated with you, please hit the subscribe button and give this video a thumbs up so others in similar situations can find it. And if you know someone struggling with the impossible choice between family loyalty and personal integrity, share this as a reminder that sometimes the most loving thing we can do is stop enabling destructive behavior. Thank you for listening, and remember that true family support means wanting the best for each other, not protecting each other from necessary consequences.